The Bundeswehr, Germany's armed forces, prepared a secret plan in case of a military conflict with Russia, the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung reported. According to it, the 1,000-page Operation Germany plan lists all infrastructure facilities that deserve special protection and also contains a procedure for defense or measures to deter Russia on NATO's eastern flank. The plan says that in such a case, Germany would become the center of concentration for tens of thousands and possibly hundreds of thousands of troops that would be transferred to the east, as well as military equipment, food and medical supplies. Throughout the year, German military officials have repeatedly stated the need to prepare for military conflict with Russia, which they say could take place in 5 years. In particular, Defense Minister Boris Pistorius has stated this on several occasions. The head of the Hamburg State Command, Lieutenant Colonel Jörn Plischke, made specific recommendations for business representatives. For every 100 employees, train at least 5 additional truck drivers. People from Eastern Europe drive 70% of all trucks on German roads. If there is a war there, where will these people end up? The military asked. According to him, enterprises should have autonomous power sources, such as diesel generators or their own wind turbines. Plischke added that Russia is preparing for a conflict with Germany by conducting unmanned reconnaissance flights, sabotage, cyber attacks and assassination attempts on top managers of German companies. The lieutenant colonel emphasized that Germany has major problems with producing military equipment and ammunition. After the military's speech, the mayor of Hamburg said that the city had introduced volunteers who do not belong to the Bundeswehr combat unit but are involved in security and safety tasks to the 3rd Civil Defense Company. For its part, the Hamburg Senate has already responded to the threat and created more than 40 additional jobs to strengthen crisis management and protect the population. Conversations like the one in Hamburg are taking place across the country. All federal state commands have been instructed to carry out this task, the Bundeswehr reported. In July, the Bild newspaper reported that the Bundeswehr had drawn up a secret plan outlining the order of military and civilian action in the event that NATO troops needed to be moved to the alliance's eastern flank. Commenting on German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock's remarks in July that Russia allegedly posed the greatest threat to security in Europe, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said that this was nothing but monstrous nonsense. The diplomat expressed hope that politicians in Germany would finally realize the deadlock and counterproductivity of their anti-Russian line and its danger for their own country.
Aerial scouts of the Ukrainian main intelligence directorate have intercepted the training ground where the infantry soldiers of the occupying Russian army were stationed in the occupied territory of Zaporizhia region and passed the information on to the artillerymen. As a result of the missile attack launched by fighters of the Tavria Operational Strategic Troop Group, a large number of soldiers were killed, others were seriously injured. In addition, the vehicles that brought the soldiers to the area were damaged.
Antipersonnel mines that the United States intends to transfer to Ukraine will help the defense forces to contain the advance of Russian invaders. Ukrainian military observer Denis Popovich expressed confidence in this on Radio NV. That this will be useful for delaying the Russians' offensive actions is unambiguous and absolute. Destroying their infantry before they get to a certain distance is a big plus, the expert emphasized. At the same time, he recalled that Ukraine is a party to the Convention on the Destruction of Antipersonnel Mines, and accordingly, this restrains the Ukrainian armed forces from using such mines. It is obvious that while the war is going on, we need to suspend our participation in this convention and use anti-personnel mines more widely, since the impossibility of doing this now puts us in an unequal situation with the Russians, who are very actively using these means of destruction against our soldiers, Popovich noted. The Observer considers the fact that the US will provide anti-personnel mines to Ukraine to be positive. Recall US President Joe Biden has authorized the supply of anti-personnel mines to Ukraine. This move will strengthen Ukraine's defense against Russian forces advancing on Ukrainian territory, according to the Washington Post. The decision follows a recent approval by the White House, which allowed Ukraine to use American-made long-range ATACMS missiles against Russian territory. The publication notes that the delivery of anti-personnel mines to Ukraine is also potentially controversial. More than 160 countries have signed an international treaty prohibiting their use, as these weapons can cause long-term harm to civilian populations. However, Ukraine has sought these supplies since Russia launched its full-scale invasion and also deployed anti-personnel mines along the front lines to hinder Ukraine's efforts to reclaim its territory. Officials told the publication that the Biden administration is deeply concerned about Russian attacks on Ukraine's front lines in recent weeks and sees an urgent need to counter the offensive. The Pentagon believes that providing mines is one of the most effective steps the Biden administration can take to help slow Russia's advance. One official said that the type of anti-personnel mines provided to Ukraine will be non-persistent. This means that the mines will self-destruct or lose battery charge, rendering them inactive and reducing the threat to civilians. According to this source, Ukrainian officials have committed not to place mines in densely populated areas. However, arms control experts have stated that even non-persistent mines pose a safety threat. A source from the Washington Post also explained why using mines will be beneficial when combined with other munitions. Russia is attacking Ukrainian lines in the east with waves of troops, regardless of the casualties that they're suffering. So the Ukrainians are obviously taking losses, and more towns and cities are at risk of falling. These mines were made specifically to combat exactly this. When they're used in concert with the other munitions that we already are providing Ukraine, the intent is that they will contribute to a more effective defense. The official said